Good morning. These are the Reading, Language Arts, and Phonics lessons for Tuesday, May 19th. Today we're going to listen to a story titled Baby Brains. You will also need your workbook page 87 and your journal and a pencil to write a response to our story. So go ahead and make sure that you have your materials ready to go, and we're going to begin. We're going to begin by practicing prepositions, and for this activity you will not need paper, workbook page, pencils, nothing. You just need your eyes and your ears for this one. And last week we were talking about using subjects and verbs in sentences and making them agree, right? This week we're going to talk about using prepositions in sentences. Right? And prepositions, those are words. All right, what are prepositions? Those are words. Look right over here to the right. Prepositions. And those are just words. Words like in, on, out, off, by. All right, those are words that we use in sentences to kind of connect things or to tell where things are. All right, and they usually come after nouns or before nouns or around nouns or pronouns, okay? And they're used to describe location, all right, or to connect things in a sentence, all right? So let's see. We're just going to go ahead and practice with these today, and just get ready because we're going to be doing more assignments using these prepositions. And believe it or not, there's about 150 different prepositions altogether, okay? Which really isn't a lot if you think about how many words there are that we use. There's millions of words, so 150 prepositions isn't a lot. But let's go ahead and practice and see which ones that we should use in each sentence. All right, so we're going to start up at the top. And number one says, come blank the room. So look at the picture. All right. Would we say come? Where are the kids going? Are they going out of the room? Are they going in the room? Or what? We wouldn't say come off the room. Would we say come on the room? No, because we don't go on a room. And they're not leaving the room, right? They're entering the room. So we would use the word in there. Come in the room. And that would complete our first sentence. Come in the room. All right, we wouldn't say come out the room. We would have to use another preposition of. We would say come out of the room. All right, let's take a look at number two. Number two says, oh, I'm sorry. Let's finish number one. Then take blank your coats off. Then take blank your coats. Okay, so then take out your coats. You don't take out your coat, right? Take by your coat? No. How about take off your coat? Do you take off your coat? Yeah, you do. So you take off your coat. So take off your coat. That makes sense. So we have come in the room, then take off your coat. All right. Now let's go to number two. All right, so number two says, this book is blank the desk. This book is blank the desk. Well, where is the book located? Right, it's on the desk. So we would use the word on to describe where the book is. And there we go. The book is on the desk. All right, take a look at number three and let's figure out which word goes in there. The teacher is blank the slide. All right, so let's look at our picture. Where's the teacher? Is she on the slide? No. The teacher is out the slide? No. The teacher is in the slide? No, she's not in the slide. You can't be in a slide, can you? She's not on the slide. She's off this. Nope, not off the slide. By the slide. Look at her. She's next to it, right? So she is by the slide. All right, the teacher is by the slide. And there we go. The teacher is by the slide. And the last one, number 4, says, can we go blank to play? Can we go blank to play? And where are they pointing? Where are the kids pointing? Yep, they're pointing out the window. All right, so the word that we have left right there, out. Can we go out to play? That's right. And there you go. Out. Can we go out to play? So the prepositions that we practiced today were in, on, out, off, and by. And you may notice or recognize most, or actually all of these words as the sight words that we've also studied over the year. So you should recognize all of those as well. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our letters of the week. Once again, for this activity, we're not going to need a paper or pencil. We're just going to be using our eyes and our ears to practice, and our mouths as well, because you should be practicing out loud while you're listening to what we're doing. All right, our letters for this week are the letters Y and Q, like we practiced yesterday. And today we're going to be practicing with our flip chart. And here we have different pictures of different objects that begin with the letters Y and Q. And remember, the letter Y sounds like y, y, y. And the letter Q, which is always sounds like Q and U together, right? Qua, qua. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at our pictures, and we're going to see what each one of them begins with. All right, our first one right here, that is yarn. Does yarn begin with a Y or a Q? Yarn. Good, that's a Y. Yarn. All right, next one. This is a queen. Yeah, you better say Q. Q-U, because there's our queen right there. It's our giveaway. All right, next we have the color yellow. Yellow begins with Y. Good job. All right, next, this thing right here, we've talked about this in class before. It's a type of a blanket that's put together with all kinds of different pieces called a quilt. Quilt. What letter or letters does quilt begin with? Nice job. Q. U. Good. Remember, we're talking about the letter Q, but we've always said that when a word begins with the letter Q, that there's sure to follow with the letter U as well. All right, next one on the bottom row. This, I know you all know what that is. Quarter. That's right, a quarter. All right, which letters do quarter begin with? Q-U. All right. And next, this picture right here, that is a yard. Yard. Y. Awesome job. All right. This animal right here is called a yak. Yak. Good. Y. All right. And last, that vegetable is called a yam. Yam. And that also begins with a Y. Good job. All right. Now, if you look over to the right, I put the words that we just said from our sheet, from our flip chart over there. I have yarn, queen, which remember we said everything Q is a QU. Yellow, quilt, see the Q-U, quarter, whoops, Q-U, yard, yak, and yam. All right, let's go ahead and take our practice of Q and Y to use on our workbook. Right now you should be looking at page 87 of your workbook, and we are going to practice our letters Y and Q. And we're going to start off at the top with number 1 by tracing the letters Y right there. And then we're going to write the letters Y, uppercase and lowercase, for yak. And again, the letters Y for yarn. Once you're finished with that, you'll come to number 2, and we will trace the upper and lowercase q right there for queen, and then you will write it independently right there. Remember, all the way from the top line to the bottom line, just like you traced it. That's why you get to practice with the tracing first, right? All right, and this Q, our first Q that we write by ourselves over there, is for quilt. And then again over here, our second Q is for quarter. Once you've finished with that, come down to number 3. And these, you are going to determine what letter each picture begins with, and then write it on the line next to it. It will either be a letter Y or a Q. All right, our first picture right here, you know what that is because we just worked on those not too long ago. That is a question mark. Question. If question begins with a Y, then write the letter Y. If it begins with a Q, write the letter Q. All right, the one beside that, that is a yard. You see the arrow pointing to it right there? That is a yard. That's a big yard. Write the letter beside it right there that begins the word yard. All right, remember, if you need time to catch up, press pause, all right? And then press play once you get caught up and you're ready to begin again. All right, now I'm down here. I know this is an egg, boys and girls. However, look at the arrow. The arrow is pointing to the yellow part in the middle. The yellow part in the middle is called a yolk. Yolk. Write the letter that begins the word yolk. And our last picture right there is a queen. A queen. Write the letters that begin the word queen. All right, we're not finished yet. You are going to listen to the story Baby Brains next, and then I will meet you after the story to continue our lesson. All right, enjoy the story, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. As I said, now you will listen to the story Baby Brains.
In the months before Baby Brains was born, Mrs. Brains was very busy. She read out loud every night to the baby inside her tummy. She played music and languages on headphones to her baby during the day. Mr. and Mrs. Brains wanted to make sure their baby was going to be very smart. They even turned up the television when the news came on. Mr. and Mrs. Brains were very excited when their baby was born. It was a boy. Our very own Baby Brains, said Mr. Brains proudly. When they brought him home from the hospital, Mrs. Brains laid him down in the brand new crib. "Sleep tight, baby Brains," she whispered. The next morning, Mrs. Brains was on her way to get breakfast when she heard some strange noises in the living room. Mrs. Brains opened the door to see her baby sitting on the sofa reading the morning paper. By afternoon, baby Brains was fixing the car. "We certainly have a bright one here," said Mr. Brains. That evening, baby Brains spoke his first words. "I'd like to go to school tomorrow," he said. The next day, baby Brains visited the local school. He sat down with the children and answered all the questions. The children were amazed. At the end of the afternoon, the teacher thanked baby Brains. "I don't think I've ever learned so much in one day," she said. On the way home, baby Brains said he wanted to go to college and study medicine. After just 2 weeks, baby Brains began working as a doctor at the local hospital. He was very popular with all the staff and patients. Word soon spread about the extraordinary baby Brains. Everyone wanted to meet him. One night, some space scientists called. They asked if baby Brains would like to help with their next space mission. The following day, Mr. and Mrs. Brains and their baby traveled to the Space Center. After training hard over the weekend, baby Brains waved goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Brains and blasted off into outer space. Everyone in the world held their breath as they watched baby Brains take his first spacewalk. "Tell us how you feel on this special occasion," radioed ground control. Baby Brains looked up at the vast starlit sky above him. He looked down at the vast starlit sky below him. He looked at the whole world in front of him and mumbled something. "We can't quite hear you," radioed ground control. "Could you repeat that?" "I want my mommy!" wailed baby Brains. "That's enough," Mrs. Brains yelled to the space controller. "Bring my baby home right now." Baby Brains was flown home as quickly as possible. He felt very embarrassed as he stepped down from the hatch. But through the crowd of photographers and cameramen, Mrs. Brains came running. "Our beautiful little baby," sighed Mrs. Brains as she lifted him high into the air. "Our brave little baby," said Mr. Brains. "Can we go home?" asked baby Brains. At home, Mrs. Brains gave baby Brains a warm bath, which made him feel a lot better. Mr. Brains tickled him, which made him laugh. And Mrs. Brains sang baby Brains to sleep. Then they gently laid him down in the brand new crib. It was good to have their baby home again. "Our very own baby Brains," whispered Mrs. Brains. From that day on, baby Brains spent most of his time at home, doing the things that most babies do. Except, that is, on weekends, when he still liked to help out at the local hospital.
What a cute story, and what a smart baby, huh? Wow. So Baby Brains was a story about a baby, right? And from the time the baby was in mommy's tummy, right? They made him listen to music, they read him stories, right? They did everything that they could to make sure that he was going to be a smart baby, right? Which, is that true? We don't know that. But After baby Brains was born, the very next day they came down and there he was reading the newspaper. And from there, it just, whoop, it just went from there. He was fixing cars, and then he wanted to go to school. And then from there, he became a doctor, right? Within weeks, he became a doctor. And then from there, he was being called to be interviewed, and then wanted to be in the space program. And then he was sent off into space, right? I mean, imagine that, a baby, just weeks, months old, being sent off into space to be an astronaut. That's crazy, huh? Isn't that crazy? Silly story. That just goes to show that this is not a real story. This is a fairy tale, right? But then what happens? I want my mommy, right? We all do that. I even do that, right? And then they decided he needed to be a baby again. He needed to be just a normal baby where he gets rocked to sleep and cuddled and loved and sleeps in his own baby bed and gets pushed around in a stroller like a baby, right? And so they just kept him a normal baby and did baby things except for the weekends where he still liked to play doctor, huh? Silly baby brains. I like that story. Did you like it? I hope you did. Think about all the amazing things that baby brains did when he went on his adventures, okay? He did all kinds of things. From the very next day that he woke up, he was already reading the newspaper. He was going to school. He was helping Dad with the car. He was a doctor and he was helping patients, right? He was going to college. He was off in space and becoming an astronaut, right? Think of all those different things that baby brains did. And he was also a baby. Which of those things did you like best that baby brains got to do? Okay, I want you to think of what you liked that he did best and write it or draw it in your journal. All right, what did you like that baby brains got to do? Did you like it when he was an astronaut? Did you like it when he was reading the newspaper? Did you like it when he was working on Dad's car with him? Did you like it when he was a doctor? Or did you like it when he got to go to school? What did you like best? That's what you're going to do in your journal, is draw a picture of what baby brains did and what you liked best. All right, so go ahead, draw your picture in your journal, and that's how you will respond to our story, Baby Brains, today.